Goo goo gaga. Please like and subscribe.
It's a gym, not a playground. Don't bring your ape child. Today, I had the great displeasure of encountering a young, indifferent mother and her feral ape child at my apartment complex's fitness center. While I was concentrating hard on working out and burning off my Thanksgiving binge, the door opened. In came a young mom, probably 25 or so, and her child, who I would estimate to be 6 or 7 years old. I paid them no mind at first, as I figured they might have been just passing through to get to the apartment's indoor pool. I was mistaken, however, as the mom proceeded to one of the treadmills. She guided her ape child onto the adjacent treadmill, an immediate safety hazard that I internally noted. The apartment's gym has many clearly posted signs that say only those aged 12 and up can use the fitness center, but I didn't feel like picking an argument and decided to continue ignoring them. I thought that she would probably just put the treadmill on a slow walking speed and let him toddle along, and at first, it seemed like that would be the case. After about 30 seconds, I heard loud beeping noises coming from the treadmill, and the rotors began to spin very loud. I looked over, and the ape child was mashing the speed up button, causing the treadmill's belt to start moving at an incredibly fast rate. The ape child, his undeveloped legs unable to keep up with the speed of the treadmill's belt, gripped onto the handrails of the treadmill and began bouncing his feet off the belt as it rolled underneath him. He was clearly amused by the way the momentum of the belt was able to propel him up and down like a pogo stick, but I was most assuredly not. On one bounce, his feet lingered for too long on the treadmill belt, and he was suddenly flung backwards and off the treadmill. His mother finally took notice, shutting off the treadmill and checking to see if any damage had been done. The ape child, being practically made of rubber at his age, was unharmed, and giggled amusedly at how events transpired. The mother made a feeble attempt to chastise her ape child, and directed him away from the treadmill and towards the rest of the machines. At this point, I paused my workout and watched the ape child as he made his way over to the machines. His mother continued her speed walking on the treadmill, leaving the ape child unsupervised as he gripped onto the handles of the cable machine. Embracing his inner ape roots, he began swinging and climbing by using the cable machine handles, which had been set to a very high weight and were able to hold him onto the ground. The ape child, likely desiring more stimulation, set the weight to 30 pounds. The ape child fell backwards with his body weight, allowing the cable to swing him back upwards like a bungee cord. Ingenious, but most definitely not the way that the equipment was meant to be used. The plates made loud clanging noises as they crashed back into each other, and I finally decided to intervene. With all the politeness I could muster, I approached the young mother. "Excuse me, but it's not safe for him to be using the equipment like that. Do you mind taking him somewhere else?" With a scornful look, the mom replied, "He's not hurting anyone, I'm keeping an eye on him." "Really? I didn't see you doing that while you're on the treadmill," I said. "He's not supposed to even be in here in the first place, the gym is for 12 and up. I would very much appreciate if you could at least have him stop playing with the equipment, he's going to hurt himself." Ignoring my plea, the mom went right back to her speed walking. The ape child had moved on from the cable machine and was now jumping up and down off the adjustable bench. He moved again to the dumbbell rack, grabbing a 20-pound or 9-kilogram dumbbell. With as much strength as his little 6-year-old body could muster, he heaved the dumbbell off the rack. Unable to hold onto it, it crashed to the floor, causing him to jump away as it nearly crushed his foot. I had finally seen enough, and confronted the mom again. "I'm going to ask you very politely, control your son while he's in here. This is not a playground." "Oh my God, okay," the mom said with a sigh. She told her ape child to sit in the corner, handing him an iPhone to keep himself occupied. Finally, the ape child was pacified, and I was able to continue the rest of my workout, albeit with frustration at what had transpired while I was there. When I'm at the gym, I need to concentrate. I'm working with heavy weights and pushing my limits, so a distraction can be downright dangerous. If the ape child had run past me while I was doing shoulder presses, I could have easily injured him or myself. Teenagers with no idea what to do at the gym and misusing equipment can bother me, but for the most part, I can ignore them. I can't ignore a feral ape child bouncing off the equipment. I can't get too mad at the ape child since he's acting in his nature, but the mom really pissed me off today. If there's no one to watch your kid while you're at the gym, don't bring him with you. The world is not your ape child's playground.
Hoo hoo hee hee. My wife was never brought to a contemporary circus performance with her parents, and now we know why. My wife bought us tickets to go to a contemporary circus as an early birthday present, also because neither of us had been to one. She kept telling me how her mom and dad would go to them all the time and not bring her or her siblings with. And how she's always wanted to go, and we both enjoy this type of entertainment. Well, drove 3 hours to the closest city that was hosting it, extremely excited to see this kind of performance in person, and finally get to see one. 2 minutes before the show starts, a couple with a toddler shows up and sits right behind us. We quickly found out how a beautiful show can be ruined by a single child yelling and screaming, laughing at things that are not funny, kicking the chair, turning lights on in a completely dark room. As the parents just sit there doing absolutely nothing to control or quiet the child. I have no respect for these kind of people, who only think about themselves and not those around them. Hopefully we can see it again sometime without annoyance. Too long. Didn't read. Children ruin beautiful shows very quickly, and parents who don't control their kids are the most disrespectful people on the earth.
The larger issue is people bringing babies and small children to events that are not appropriate for them, such as ball games, concerts, movies with mature themes, contemporary circus, etc. If parents can't afford a sitter, they should not be going out, and in fact should not even have kids. I'm in my 50s, and aside from family events and shopping, I didn't go anywhere with my parents until I was like 9 or 10. People really need to get back to that.
Please tell me you reamed them out. These people need to be taught, because they never were.
I cannot believe the disrespect some people have for everyone around them. My parents took me to see cartoon characters on ice, or something kid-specific, when I was maybe 4. And my dad still took me outside when I started acting up. I had to calm down to be able to go back inside and watch the show. My parents would roll dice in front of us kids to see which parent would be the bad guy when we went out. If any of us kids acted up, then the bad guy loser would usher us out. It worked like a charm. I have been to a contemporary circus performance twice. The first was on my honeymoon and a mom showed up with her, maybe 4-year-old, child behind us. The kid kept crying, "Is he going to die?" during all the aerial stunts. Then they'd loudly talk or ask what was going on during the entire performance. I can remember almost nothing about the entire show except when people were doing elevated acrobatics, and only then because the kid was crying about how the people were going to die. Fast forward and we have the honor of going to the Contemporary Circus Crystal Show in an area sectioned off for my company's seating. It was super cool because we even had our own room and bathrooms to go into if we needed. Anyway, very few people showed up for the box seating, and no kids were anywhere near us. It was glorious being able to experience the show with no child distractions. Literally a single child ruined the whole first experience for us to the point where that's what I remember most about that night. I guarantee that remembering the child ruining our experience, and I'm sure others' experiences, will be remembered long after that kid remembers going to that performance. Sorry you also had to deal with that, mate. Hope you get to experience one of their performances in the future, because they're really fantastic. One year my husband and I got tickets to see a Broadway performance. There was a baby about a year old behind us. Now luckily he was quiet, but he just would not sit still. He would wiggle and crawl onto the floor, onto each parent's lap, back and forth like a jumping bean. I could hear them telling him to sit still, then they started snapping at each other. I felt like I was listening to a live stream of a divorce in real time. It wasn't even an hour into the show and they had to leave. $200 plus down the drain because they couldn't find a freaking sitter for 2.5 hours. They were not cheap seats.
Hoo hee hee. Off to a good start. I met a new guy at work. First question out of his mouth was, "So, how many kids do you have?" I responded, through soft maniacal laughter, "Absolutely none." He said, "Oh, they were the best decision I have ever made. They will really give you a new sense of purpose." I replied, "Yeah, I'm sure. Just not my thing." In fact, that was the second thing me and my significant other talked about a decade ago. Neither of us want them. He asked, "So, how old are you?" I answered, "Been down this road, dude. Save it."
Quote. How old are you? End quote. Old enough to know my own mind and definitely know what I want and don't want. Alternatively, old enough to not cave to peer pressure and take my own path in life. If you ask ridiculous questions, expect ridiculous answers. I'm 93, post-menopause. How old are you? Oh, that's good. I'm using it.
Why does he care so much about it? Misery looking for company. He can talk to his partner or kids for company. I have never understood this.
Imagine trying to get to know someone by asking how many children they have. Having children isn't a personality trait, why would it matter, especially so early on in a conversation? What shows or movies are you into? What are some of your favorite bands or books? This is usually how I try to get to know someone or make small talk. Unless they don't want to be bothered. Sort of weird to jump right to how many kids do you have? Immediately. I feel the same way. As a bonus, I also love being asked these questions. I'll learn a lot about others. And they'll learn a lot about me. Without having to pry into each other's personal lives at all. Guess he has no hobbies and his entire life revolves around kids.
Quote. Oh, they were the best decision I have ever made. They will really give you a new sense of purpose. End quote. He responded to his own question without anyone asking. Dude is probably practicing that in front of the mirror to convince himself.
This happened to us with our new neighbors. We bought a lot for our house and I were there planning and we saw them, so we went to say hello. Literally first question. How many kids? Not even if. If kids are what gives you purpose, you really didn't have an interesting life before. Old enough to know these are super prying personal questions bordering harassment. Yuck.
Hoo hee hee.
But some people can't go through something as special as childbirth. Just try it, you won't regret it, trust me. This is honestly the weirdest bingo I have ever had. It happened online, so I try not to take comments online too personally, but this one just tipped me over the edge. I was discussing with someone in a comment section about being child-free and how I would never go through childbirth. The other person who was commenting was replying and telling me their reasons why and things they have witnessed after women gave birth, etc. It was all okay when suddenly I got a notification from another person. And I looked at the reply. And the person had said, but some people can't go through something as special and as beautiful as childbirth. Just try it, you won't regret it, trust me, just wait until the time comes, it will be the best thing you will ever do. Why would I put my body through childbirth and pregnancy just because some women can't experience it? That's like telling someone to eat a whole bar of chocolate in one sitting even if it makes them feel sick, because some people have dairy allergies. It makes no sense at all. What makes me more angry is the person said it after the person I was originally talking to mentioned adopting instead of giving birth. Please like and subscribe.